I didn't find out because she confessed. I found out because the gift didn't belong in our home. It was hidden in the back of her closet, pushed behind winter coats and an old suitcase like it was supposed to disappear just because she didn't want to face it. A small black box. Matte finish. Clean edges. Expensive. And when I opened it, I felt my stomach drop so hard I honestly thought I might throw up. Because I knew that brand. I'd seen it on Instagram Reels. I'd seen it on billboards. I'd seen it in the wrists of men who didn't ask permission for anything. It wasn't mine, and it sure as hell wasn't hers. Hey viewers, before we move on, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button if you want more stories like this. Thanks, I'm 30. My name is Logan. I work in IT security for a healthcare network. It's not glamorous, but it's solid. I spend my days putting out invisible fires, chasing down vulnerabilities, and making sure some random click doesn't turn into a nightmare for thousands of people. It pays well. It's stable. It's predictable. And I used to think predictable was the best kind of love, too. My girlfriend Ava was 27. We'd been together for almost 3 years, living in the same apartment for a little over 1. Not a luxury high-rise, but clean, modern, good location. The kind of place you feel proud of when you finally stop living like a broke college kid. Ava worked in marketing. Not the corporate ladder type. More freelance. Social media management, branding strategy, a few smaller clients that came and went. She had the energy of someone who always had 5 tabs open in her head. Ambitious, creative, always planning something. And the thing I loved most about her was that she seemed loyal. Not loud about it, not performative, just consistent. She'd reach for my hand in public without thinking. She'd lean into me at bars like I was the safe spot in the room. She'd text me randomly in the middle of the day just to say, "Miss you." I wasn't naive. I knew relationships shift over time, but I honestly believed we were the stable kind. The kind that lasts. The kind you stop questioning. Then, slowly, she started changing her habits. Not in a dramatic way. In a way you don't notice until you look back and realize you've been ignoring a pattern. It started with her phone. Ava used to leave it everywhere. Countertop, couch, bathroom sink. Then one day she stopped. It was always face down, always with her. Always within arm's reach. If I walked into a room and she was texting, her thumb would pause for half a second. Not long enough to be obvious. Long enough to make you feel it anyway. Then she started going out more. Work events, she'd say. Networking, she'd say. Client dinners, she'd say. And I never wanted to be the guy who questioned his girlfriend's schedule like she needed permission to live. So I didn't. I played supportive. I played secure. I acted like none of it bothered me. But there were little moments I couldn't ignore. Like the way she'd get dressed differently. Not just cute, intentional, hair done, makeup sharp, outfit planned. The kind of effort she hadn't put into a date with me in months. And the worst part was the way she started talking about one name more than she should have. Evan. She framed him like he was nothing. Just a friend from work, she told me almost casually. A project lead, she said. Someone who's connected, she said. It's stupid, Logan, she laughed one night when I asked. He's just helping me with a brand deal. He's older and annoying. Older, annoying. That's how people describe the guy they're secretly terrified of losing. I tried to ignore it, but Evan became a constant in her stories. Evan recommended this restaurant. Evan knows a guy who can get us into that event. Evan says I should charge more. Evan thinks my content is amazing. I told myself it was professional. I told myself I was reading too much into it. Then I saw the first actual crack. It was a Wednesday night. Ava had said she was staying late to finish edits for a campaign launch. She'd been stressed all week, so I cooked dinner and left it in the fridge. She came home around 11 p.m. Quiet. Not the normal tired. The kind of quiet that feels like someone walked through an emotional storm and is still soaked. I asked if she was okay. She smiled too fast. Yeah, she said. Just a long day. Then she went straight to the shower and stayed there forever. After that night, she started being careful with her calendar too. She used to share everything. Now she'd say, "I'll be home late," without details. If I asked where, she'd say, "Why does it matter? It's work." And my brain kept doing that thing where it tried to protect me. Maybe she's just stressed. Maybe she's overwhelmed. Maybe I'm being paranoid. Then I found the gift. It happened on a Saturday morning. She was out getting coffee and picking up stuff for a shoot. I was cleaning the closet because the shelf had collapsed again and I was tired of stepping around piles like we lived in chaos. I moved a suitcase that hadn't been opened in months and something slid forward. A box. Not wrapped, not labeled, just hidden. I stared at it for a second before touching it because it already felt wrong. I picked it up and weighed it in my hand. Not heavy, not cheap either. I opened it slowly. Inside was a watch. Not just any watch. A luxury watch. The kind of thing that costs more than my first car. It had a handwritten card tucked under the foam insert. Short message, tight handwriting. No heart emojis, no jokes, just one line. For all the nights you made me feel alive again. E. I didn't move. I just held the card and listened to the quiet in the apartment like it was screaming. My hands were cold, not shaking. Cold. Because in that moment, my body understood what my mind didn't want to admit. This wasn't a client. This wasn't networking. This wasn't some annoying coworker. This was someone who knew her in the dark. Someone who gave her a gift meant to live in secret. Someone she had memories with that weren't supposed to exist. I put everything back exactly how I found it. Box closed, card placed, slight angle of the foam restored. I slid it behind the coats like it never moved. Then I sat on the edge of the bed and stared at the wall until I heard the front door. Ava walked in talking about cold foam and traffic. She stopped when she saw my face. "Hey, you okay?" she asked. I nodded. "Yeah," I said, "just tired." She kissed my cheek. Her perfume hit me like a punch, because I realized something else too. She smelled different lately, not like another man's cologne, just like she'd been outside our life, like she'd been living somewhere else and coming home as a guest. That weekend, I didn't confront her. I watched. And once you start watching, you notice everything. She'd smile at her phone and then hide it. She'd put it on Do Not Disturb at night. She'd shower the second she came home. She'd suddenly care about shaving her legs on days she said she was only working from home. Small things, but small things add up fast when you already found the evidence. I started tracking patterns, not because I wanted to be a detective, but because I needed to know if I was crazy. Tuesday nights, always late. Thursdays, always some reason she couldn't talk on the phone. Sundays, always exhausted like she'd been working all day. And the worst part was how sweet she got in between. Like she was managing guilt with affection. She'd grab my hand in the kitchen and say, "I love you." She'd ask about my day. She'd laugh at my jokes again. It was like she was trying to keep me stable so I wouldn't ask questions. And I let her, because I wasn't ready to destroy the version of her I still wanted to believe in. The moment it became impossible to ignore happened a week later. We were out at a small restaurant, a place we used to love. She looked beautiful that night. She wore a fitted dress and a jacket she never wore around me anymore. I tried to enjoy it. I tried to feel normal. Then her phone buzzed. She looked down, and her face changed. Not scared. Soft. The kind of softness that doesn't belong to a coworker. She typed quickly, then locked her phone. I watched her breathe out like she'd been holding air. "Who was that?" I asked, keeping my tone light. She smiled. "Client," she said. I nodded. Then I reached out for her hand across the table. She pulled back like it was an accident. Like she hadn't done it. But she didn't replace it. That was the moment I knew. Not because she was cheating, but because she was emotionally somewhere else. And I was just the place she slept. That night, I didn't sleep. I stared at the ceiling while she breathed beside me, and I kept replaying the message on that card. For all the nights you made me feel alive again. Those words weren't about a meeting. Those words were about intimacy. They were about her choosing him, and then coming home and acting like I was the one she belonged to. The next morning, I did something I'd never done in our entire relationship. I checked her laptop, not her phone, the laptop, because she'd been sloppy with it. She'd leave it open. She'd leave tabs running. She assumed I was too respectful to look, and I had been. Until I found a luxury watch in our closet. I didn't go through everything. I didn't scroll through years of messages. I didn't want to read an entire betrayal like it was entertainment. I just typed Evan into her email search bar. A thread popped up. Subject line: last night. My blood went cold. I opened it. The email wasn't explicit. That would have been easier. It was worse. It was affectionate. It was familiar. It was routine. He wrote like a man who already belonged in her life. You looked incredible. I can't stop thinking about your laugh. Next time, no running away early. Her reply was short. I know. I miss you already. Soon. That one word confirmed everything. Soon meant there was more coming. Soon meant there were nights already behind them. Soon meant I wasn't imagining anything. I closed the laptop gently, like the betrayal was fragile. Then I went into the bathroom and stared at my own reflection. I looked normal. Just a guy in an apartment with a girlfriend. But I felt like I'd been living in a lie. Ava woke up an hour later, stretched, smiled at me. Morning, babe. I kissed her forehead. Morning. I didn't confront her. Not yet. Because I didn't want to fight. I didn't want tears. I didn't want her to turn it into a misunderstanding. I didn't want her to say I was invading her privacy, like that would be the real crime. I wanted control. And for the first time, I realized something. I'd been playing defense for months. I was done. That day, I made a plan. Not a dramatic plan, a practical one. The kind of plan you make when you work in security. You don't react emotionally. You secure the assets. You remove yourself. You lock the doors. I called my friend Mason during lunch. Can I crash at your place for a bit? I asked. Mason didn't hesitate. Yeah, man, what happened? I didn't explain. Not yet. I said I needed a reset. Then I called a storage facility near my office. I got a unit that afternoon. I grabbed boxes and tape on the way home. Ava was at a client dinner that night, so the apartment was quiet. And I packed. Not her things, mine, my clothes, my documents, my electronics, the things that mattered, the things she couldn't replace with an apology. I left the furniture for now. I left the big stuff. I left the shared things. But I moved the important pieces out first. By the time she came home, everything looked normal. Maybe a little tidier. She smiled. You're so productive lately, she said, kicking off her shoes. Just trying to stay on top of things, I said. She walked past me and went straight to the shower again. I listened to the water run and felt something in my chest settle, because I knew. The next day, she was sweet again. She asked if we could do something fun on Saturday. Brunch, maybe? She said. And I nodded. Sure. Saturday came. She got dressed with that same sharp energy. She checked her phone 3 times while doing her mascara. Brunch was fine. She laughed at the right moments. She touched my arm once, like she remembered that was something girlfriends do. Then, after we got home, she said the sentence that finished everything. I might have to head out for a bit tonight. I looked up from the couch. Where? I asked. She hesitated. Just meeting Evan to go over some things. There it was. No hiding behind client excuses anymore. I nodded. Okay, I said. Her eyes narrowed slightly, like she didn't trust my calm. You're not mad? No, I said, because I wasn't mad. I was relieved. She left an hour later. and I waited until her car pulled away before I moved. I loaded the last of my stuff into my trunk. I carried boxes down quietly like I was leaving a hotel room. I took one final look around the apartment. The place I thought was home. The place I thought we were building a life in. Then I took my key off my ring and set it on the counter. And I wrote a note. Ava, I found the gift. You don't get to keep my loyalty while you give your life to someone else. Don't contact me. Then I walked out. I didn't slam the door. I didn't cry. I didn't even feel dramatic. I felt clean. She started calling me around midnight. I didn't answer. She texted. Where are you? Logan, please, this is insane. Stop doing this. I didn't respond because I knew exactly what she was doing. She wasn't panicking because she loved me. She was panicking because her structure moved out. She was panicking because the stable life she used as a safety net was gone. She came home to an empty apartment and a note. And for the first time, she had to face the silence she created. I heard about the aftermath from Mason because Mason had a mutual friend who worked with Ava. Apparently, she showed up at work the next day looking wrecked. She told people I had an anxiety episode, that I freaked out randomly, that I left without warning. Because of course she did. People like that rewrite the story so they can sleep at night. 2 weeks later, she emailed me from a new address. A long message. Apologies, excuses, confessions without details. She wrote that Evan was a mistake, that she didn't mean for it to happen, that it started when she felt lonely, that she loved me, that she wanted to fix it. I read it once, then I deleted it. Because the truth was, I didn't need closure. I already had it. It was sitting in the back of her closet, hidden behind coats. A luxury watch with a message that didn't belong in my life. Months passed. My life got quieter, cleaner. I moved into my own place, a smaller apartment, but it felt like air. I stopped waking up with that heavy feeling in my chest. I started training again. I started cooking again. I started spending weekends with friends instead of waiting for her to come home and pretend we were fine. And slowly, I realized something I didn't expect. I hadn't lost the love of my life. I'd lost the illusion that loyalty is something you can assume. You don't assume loyalty. You watch for it. You feel it. You see it in the choices someone makes when no one is watching. Ava made her choices. So I made mine. I didn't stay to prove I could handle disrespect. I left to prove I could handle peace. And the gift she tried to hide? It did exactly what it was meant to do. It revealed the truth. Not about her. About me. That I wasn't willing to be someone's safe option while they chased someone else. I was loyal, but I wasn't blind. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to subscribe and hit the like button for more.